Welcome to the Neon Noise Podcast, your home for learning ways to attract more traffic to your website, generate more leads, convert more leads into customers, and build stronger relationships with your customers. And now, your hosts, Justin Johnson and Ken Franzen.
Hey, everybody, and welcome to episode 14, number 14 of the Neon Noise Podcast, where we talk about topics that help you decode marketing and sales. Ken, how is it going today?
It is going great today, Justin. How about yourself?
It is going good. Very good. Thank you for asking. One of the things that I wanted to chat about today is we get a bunch of calls, obviously related to marketing and sales. I thought that maybe doing a Q&A on some of those topics that we get a lot of inquiries on would be helpful to our listeners. What do you think about doing something like that?
No, that's great, because a lot of the inquiries that we receive are repeats. They're common questions that come across over and over again. And what better way to help our audience but by covering some of these common questions they likely have as well.
Exactly. So why don't we dive in? I would say that one of the most popular questions that we get is related to traffic and what can we start doing to get additional traffic to our website? Obviously, increasing traffic is important. Just where are the best areas to start with generating additional traffic to my website?
To start, yes, traffic is the lifeblood of that funnel. That's the very first step in the overall methodology, that inbound methodology that we speak so much about. It's really getting new or repeat visitors to our website, our brand. And it's important, I think, to preface this conversation with the right type of traffic as well, because the number of visitors coming to your site can be gigantic. It can be huge.
Sure.
But if it's the wrong type of visitor, it's not going to continue that process into converting to a customer. So I preface this that we are focusing on our buyer personas that we've created, and we're really trying to get the traffic from them in particular. But let's start off with the low-hanging fruit. And I consider this low-hanging fruit, but email marketing, your customer database.
Yeah.
You likely have customers already you've done business with. And with that, most of you will have a database of some sort, hopefully with email addresses. And I think email marketing is gold. I think it is the one component that, yes, people don't take as much advantage of as they could in continuing. Now this is that low-hanging fruit that I referenced that you can easily access, but this is also not attracting the new eyeballs. It's the increasing the transaction frequency, or the people that have already encountered your brand. If it's maybe someone that you have in a funnel that haven't done business with, sure, but I'm really kind of focusing on most businesses that we talk to. They don't have marketing funnels in place, something along those lines. They have customer databases. So set up an email campaign, market to them, send out email updates, what's going on with your brand, specials, promotions. If you have a sale on dishwashers this week and you're an appliance center,
fire them.
Yep, fire it away. Send it off to them. If you have a new event coming up, let's say you're having a tent sale for President's Day, which is right around the corner, let them know about that. But that is a way not only to get traffic to your website, but also traffic to your doors. Yep. Exactly. Other ways, organically. So we're looking at the search engines. Well, let's talk about Google. We want to obviously try to gather as many visitors to our website from the search engines. And doing so, optimizing your website to be search engine friendly and creating relevant content and describing all the things that involve search engine optimization here, blogging, reaching out to others that are in your industry, try to get inbound links to your website to boost the credibility you have with the search engine so that you show up for more of those keyword searches that your buyer personas care about.
Yeah.
Other areas, social media used to be free, quote unquote, right?
It used to be free. Now you got to pay for
It used to be.
everybody to
Sure.
see your stuff.
Well, they have shareholders now to take care of them. That's quite all right. The evolution of social media has changed quite a bit, and this will be a good segue into probably a little bit of paid. Building that social media, your social media audience is another great way to drive traffic, promote your content that you create, engage with other consumers out there that might be interested in your brand. A lot of times, to get that exposure, you do have to pay for it now, and
Right.
that's not a bad thing because there's a lot of value we see in certain platforms where you can gain exposure in front of those that you normally wouldn't be part of your audience. So there's definitely some benefits. Everyone's like, you have to pay for Facebook now. It's not fair.
Yeah, but it's
And
relatively inexpensive too.
that's what's nice about it. There are opportunities there, and so we look at social media, PPC, pay per click. You look at just traditional paid search, Google AdWords, where you can't find exposure on the search engines organically. You can pay for that placement, and a lot of times, when done right, there's a real good ROI on that.
Sure.
So get some traffic by positioning yourself through AdWords or retargeting campaigns. Um, look at what is working well for you as well in your Google Analytics, and see. That's the one thing I think that is missed so often is people aren't really paying attention to exactly what may be or not work. Might not be working, and they're kind of going by feel or what they think works best. Use those Google Analytics. That's the whole point of them, is to understand where the traffic to your website's coming from.
Yeah.
Dig in, dive deep. There's lots of layers to that, and it can tell you a lot of great information.
Awesome stuff. Those are all great items that are going to definitely get additional eyeballs to your site. I think another question that we get quite a bit is related to photos and photography. So many sites that we see, they really, really do lack good quality photography. So the next question would be, where can I find good photography for my website?
A photo, good photography on your website does have a giant impact. It's really the make or break, I think, from that initial visit. Once you get that traffic, that visit from, let's say, your paid search campaign or maybe one of your social media efforts, they click through, they hit maybe say your homepage. Hopefully, with one of those campaigns, it's a landing page, but they're going to come to that landing page and they're going to see something right off the bat, whatever's above the fold, and they're going to see one, obviously the headline, the message you're trying to deliver, but a lot of times there's a visual there that makes a connection, and the strength of that likely photo, maybe it's a video or something along those lines, but let's talk about photos here for a second. The strength of that photo tying in with your message and how professional and nice it looks goes a long way. And so where do you find good photography? Where can you find such photos? Take pictures yourself. I think that most of us have smartphones with really awesome cameras on it. I'm really going right down here to the bottom of my recommendations and starting there. But we all have really good cameras right in our pockets. It's right behind the Bubble Witch game or whatever it is that
We
you have
know
on.
that everybody has a camera now.
Exactly. In a couple quick Google searches on how do I take good pictures
Sure.
will reveal some
You can
really
probably
helpful
put that on a
tutorials.
tripod now, can't you?
You can buy tripod mounts for sure. Full-fledged tripod mounts where they're the regular eye level height ones, or you can even find desktop tripods for your your iPhones or your Android phones or whatever phone that you're using these days. There's tons and tons and tons of those, and use that to take the photos. The thing that you need to worry about most is lighting. Make sure you have really good, solid lighting. If you have a digital camera that's a little nicer in your phone, use that.
Yeah.
If you have a little extra money in the budget, hire a professional photographer. They are worth every penny that you pay them. They know how to they know how to stage a shoot. They know how to get the proper lighting. They know how to capture and go over with them. Don't just say, hey, come out and take some pictures of me. Say, this is what I'm doing this for a website. Here's kind of the direction I'm going. Here's the message that I want to convey, and challenge them to help you stage photos that are going to work great for that website or that landing page, whatever it is. Now, if all that fails, use stock photography. There's some really good stock photo sites out there. iStockPhoto, BigStockPhoto, Shutterstock. I mean, we'll include a couple links to some of these stock photo sites in the show notes. But for a couple dollars, you can actually download and obtain rights to use photos taken by professional photographers. And if you start searching these stock photo sites, you'll be amazed at how many different options. You type in a keyword, you'll be blown away. Sometimes you type in a keyword that might be a little bit specific. Maybe you're in a very specific niche market and you'll be disappointed. You can always find ways around that, being a little bit creative with the use of general photos.
Right.
But the one thing I'll caution you against is please, please, please don't just go to Google and grab a photo.
You're not supposed to borrow them?
No, well, borrow is a very loose term there. The problem with that is these photos are taken by someone who is trying to make money, and someone owns the rights to those photos. When you borrow them, quote unquote, from Google and place them on your website, you haven't formally obtained the licensing and rights to use that photo. And that photographer or the agency or company that owns the rights can come after you. And we've had some instances with clients where they've been sought out by legal counsel to prove they have the rights to use certain photos that were on their website.
Well, and those aren't even that expensive, are they?
Well, no, if you think about the trade-off here.
Right.
The photo that you're looking at, let's say it cost you $50 for this photo. And
that's probably a lot, right?
That's a lot for the photo sites that we're just talking about there. But let's just say it cost you $50 to use this photo. The cease and desist, prove you own rights to demand letter, is looking for retribution of $1,600 or so in penalties and fees and damages and all that stuff for misuse or non-use of or non-licensing of that image.
I think I'd rather pay $50.
Yeah, exactly. It's a no-brainer. Now, if you get 1,000 images on your website, obviously, $50,000 is a lot of money. In that case, hire a photographer would be a lot cheaper. But just be careful about what you do. Be sensible. Don't borrow. You might get away with it. You might not. Just throw that out there. The last thing I think that is oftentimes underutilized, even when we take photos ourselves, or we have a photographer take photos for us, or we even use those stock photos, there's a lot of really cool things that a skilled graphic designer could do to enhance that photo. Maybe they take a couple of different elements, and you are in that niche market where maybe you're selling floor mats for golf carts. I don't know if those exist, but let's just say they do. Floor mats for golf carts. You really are into your golf cart and you want to have fancy floor mats. You're likely not going to find stock photography for golf cart floor mats. What you could do, though, is if you find a floor mat that you like and you find a golf cart that you like and you need a graphic designer to mesh those two images together. I think I'm kind of reaching on this example, but
maybe
look at the picture.
But
look at the
you'll
picture.
Understand it.
Exactly. Use a graphic designer. You can really, really, really enhance, come up with some really dynamic, impactful photos, and that's where I think it really boils down to is getting a photo on your website, your landing page, whatever it is, that's going to help tell your story, deliver your message, connect with your buyer persona.
Good stuff. Which leads into adding value for your website. We get questions around, what can I do to add value for my customers? I think one of the best ways to do this is look at what others are saying about you. And so the next question would be, should I be using testimonials and case studies for my website?
This is a great question, and it's interesting. The conversations that I have, half the customers that are clients that I talk to say that they want them or they think they're great. The other half basically say, I think they're all BS. How do I know that, or how does the customer know that I didn't just make that stuff up? And I'm like, good point.
Mm-hmm.
Good point. But the other half of the consumers that are out there might buy value. And I'm not saying, do make them up. Don't make them up. Have genuine customer testimonials. I lean on the side of, yes, have customer testimonials, but take it up a level. Take it up a notch. So, the internet's riddled with reviews. Tons and tons of reviews. There's lots of fake reviews. I mean, you can go on Fiverr.com and pay someone to write 10 awesome reviews for your business, and they're likely to have those up by the time you make breakfast in the morning. It's fake things, and that's the world we live in. That's the world we live in, and the internet, that we have at our fingertips.
Uh-huh.
But to add some validity to the testimonials and some conviction behind what you're placing or stating your customers are saying about you, take it another step further and either go with a case study, which is a more specific example of, here's a customer, they approached us with a problem. Their problem was XYZ. Our company took that problem and provided this solution, which benefited them in these particular ways.
Right.
Now you have not only, and then, sure, you'd have that testimonial that Neon Goldfish helped our business grow 300% over the last year, blah, blah, blah. All good stuff. But now you have a specific example that a potential site visitor could connect to. They could say, hey, I have that same problem that you've now displayed was solved. And
what about tying a video into that?
That would be the next step. Tying a video would even be better. And that would be the gold medal of these three options. If just the word testimonial was the bronze and the case study was the silver, if you could add a video to this mix, or even a video period, that is awesome. Now the video, hey, sure, you can go on and go the full lengths of hiring a video production company and shooting a video, and you're going to have a killer video testimonial. You could also take that same cell phone that you were taking photos of, and I definitely suggest, if you're shooting video with your phone, use a tripod, because our hands are not as steady as we'd like to think they are. And you could shoot video of a customer testimonial, and with some simple editing software, have a nice video of one of your clients talking about their experience with your business. Now, that is much more believable. Now, could we also state, well, maybe it was hired actors? Nobody's going to go that far and hire talent and everything else of that nature. I can't say nobody. I'm sure it's been done. But at any rate, what you're really trying to do is you're trying to leverage the good experiences, the customer satisfaction that you've displayed, that the level of care that you give to your clients and their appreciation through your website in some capacity. And I think that just the more time that you spend on it, the better. I mean, we get lots of websites we build where we talk to them about using testimonials, and the common response is, go to my Facebook page, grab some nice things that were said there, and drop them in.
Just that taking time.
That's just, it's how much effort we put in is how much return we're going to get out of it.
Sure.
And so, that does, quote unquote, give us a testimonial. But if we were to take that to the next level and say, okay, Mr. Customer and Mrs. Customer, we can do that. However, Jan here said she had a great experience. Do you know Jan? Well, Jan's one of our best customers. All right, great. Does Jan live in the area? Is she local to where we are? Yes, she's right around the corner. Awesome. Would Jan be willing to stop by? And sure, maybe you provide them an incentive of I'll buy you lunch or give you 10% off your next order because you're taking time out of your day to do this. Would Jan be willing to come sit down? Exactly. It's well worth it. Sit down and do a quick video testimonial. We'll send Jan a couple questions in advance. We'll have her prepared so we're not catching her blindsided. We also want Jan to be a little, put a little bit of thought into what she might say and record it.
Right.
And then we place that on the website and it has a little bit more impact. So, your original question, should I be using testimonials or case studies? Yes, I think that you should. I think it goes a long way. And I think the more effort that you put into that will yield better results from doing so.
Beautiful. All right. So everyone is on Facebook these days, and so are probably quite a few buyers. Some people are on Facebook too much. The next question that we see quite a bit is, should I start using Facebook to run ads to my website?
Yeah, I think, we touched on this earlier. And so let's rewind back when Facebook first started. We all created Facebook business pages and we were able to communicate with anyone that followed our page fairly easily. And as time progressed, the newsfeed algorithm changed and suppressed a lot of that once free exposure. And now Facebook, those dirty dogs, want us to pay for it.
No.
I
can't talk to my 20,000 my 20,000 people that my fans anymore.
Well, you can. It's just it takes a little bit more engagement from them for your message to be seen. So if you want your message to organically be seen by more, the more shares you have, the more likes you have. Obviously, that brings up the viewership.
Mm-hmm.
But this question is more geared towards how can we use Facebook to get in front of eyeballs that we aren't in front of right now. And that's kind of where Facebook's gotten pretty sweet, because they've been gathering all this data on everything we do.
Yep.
Ultimate case of Big Brother watching us, and they know what we like and what we dislike, our demographics. And so to leverage that data that's available in the Facebook platform, you can create some pretty targeted campaigns, which is nice because if you think about the strategy of really focusing in on your target buyer personas, knowing that information is half the battle. And then the other half is just finding ways to get in front of those specific people.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, not to go back to bash on anything traditional media wise, but one of the biggest challenges that we face today when we look at a billboard or a radio campaign is the rates you pay is for the total listening audience, or the total number of cars that drive past that billboard.
How many of those cars are actually interested in what you have to say, right?
That's exactly right. How many of those impressions, those listeners, are actually your target market? And the answer likely is a very small percentage, but there's no way to really segment that out. So you have to pay for the entire market. So here you have the opportunity to really niche down and say, I don't want to pay for the people that have a high likelihood of becoming my customer. Right. I want to easily determine, and to set up one of these campaigns is not challenging at all. Facebook's done a great job of giving us the tools to go through and step by step build one of these ad campaigns and get in front of those. And the nice thing about it right now, I say this right now because I don't think this is going to be forever. Right now, the price point is just
dirt
awesome.
Cheap.
It is very, very, very inexpensive. It's the amount of exposure you can get, the number of eyeballs you can get in front of for the actual cost is staggeringly
Right.
inexpensive. So I love, and I think that if you were to ask me this question, maybe even a year and a half ago, I probably wouldn't be so bullish on Facebook ads.
Yeah, but it was
But
the targeting is a lot different than it was.
it is a lot different. It is we've seen some really good success in some of the campaigns we've ran as well, and so that alone has made me a lot more pro Facebook ads than maybe I would have been, 18 months ago.
Sure. Good stuff. So now that I am doing my Facebook ads, I should probably consider doing some type of email outreach to touch all those precious contacts that I've generated. So I'm thinking about doing some outreach emails to people. What are the techniques that work best?
So when you're talking outreach emails, you're really referencing, just to kind of lay a little foundation here, you're referencing using email directly and probably more manually to go after either a cold or potentially warm target.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. So with that, my first staple is to identify, do some research on who exactly your target is to make sure that you're sending out to the right people.
Okay.
You want to obviously convey a message that is going to connect with their interests, their challenges. If we can say something that's going to best scratch an itch they have, you're going to get their attention and ultimately get them to open the email message, rather than if we're too general or we're not doing the upfront research. Let's say we just buy a list of anyone, all females from the ages of 35 to 45 who like the color green, and we're trying to sell them green socks. That's might be a start, but we could further define and try to get a more pointed list to go after if we're going to go the route of purchasing a list, or even the case of, we do this here at Neon Goldfish. We do a lot of email outreach, and we vet our targets pretty thoroughly. We look at who we're going to go after depending on the niche, and with that we identify which titles, which job positions, what type of organizations. We research. Call it stalking, whatever you want to call it, but
it's kind of
we're trying to find out as much. It kind of is, but you want to try to find out as much information. If you're selling a higher ticket item,
sure,
and you have a high profile individual that you're trying to gain their attention, well, think about this: they're likely getting more than just your email that day. Think about how many emails hit your inbox each day. If it's from somebody you don't know, there better be something really compelling there. And if you can connect with something that is particular, perhaps they just won an award, or perhaps that'd be awesome. If you find some type of news related item about that particular person and congratulate them on that, and then try to make an introduction.
It's going to open their eyes.
But that's just it. What can you do? And this goes back to the trade-off of effort to reward or return. The more effort you put into researching, vetting these individuals you're going to do outreach, the better results that you're going to get.
Yeah.
Where buying a list is easy. Anybody with a checkbook can do that. But the overall return, the open rate, the click-through that you're going to receive on that is suspect.
Right.
So let's just talk about a little bit about the message itself. The subject line, the most important component, because that's what they're going to first determine if it's something worth opening or not. And so you definitely want to get a subject line that and start tracking the effectiveness of subject lines to see which ones perform well, which ones don't. Look at the message itself. Include visuals. Something that's going to grab their attention right away. Include a headline that has some impact, that speaks to what matters to them most.
Should we do like 2 emails that go out at the same time with different messages or anything along those lines?
If you wanted to, so you want to, you're speaking of trying to do some split testing to evaluate maybe what works best.
Yeah, just maybe one headline might work better than the other one, and so that we can adjust. And maybe one email works better with photos than one that doesn't.
No, yeah, that's a great suggestion there. I mean, the idea here would be testing, whether you're doing split testing or even some individual straight line testing, is to see what does resonate and what doesn't. Because once you find, and that's the quickest way to identify what is going to work and what's not going to work. And it's kind of like dipping your toe in the water to see what the temperature is.
Mm-hmm.
You'll be able to gauge and what you can adjust. And then once you find that subject line in that message, that length of the email, is it a 6-paragraph email or is it a 2-paragraph email? Does it include that photo you mentioned, or does it not? Does it have a downloadable link that they can click on, or is it a bottom of funnel call me now? What is the overall message to that we're trying to, or the conversion that we're trying to get? And then once you do figure out what works best, then obviously that becomes your winner. Now, you might have a sequence of emails where they may not open the first one.
Yeah.
And it might take a couple attempts to actually get an open from them.
Mm-hmm.
But it doesn't mean that they don't know who you are. The old cliche, the squeaky wheel gets the grease, applies here, right?
Yeah.
You do a lot of email outreach for Neon Goldfish, Justin. How many times have you found it sometimes takes to send an email before you might get an open, or before you get some type of recognition, some type of, oh yeah, it's Justin, or you follow that with a phone call and they're like, yeah, I got all your emails, I just haven't had a chance to get to them.
I'll tell you what, we do a lot of outreach, and most of the outreach that we have set up is based around 10 to 12 touches. So maybe that's an email going out followed up by a phone call. But maybe you don't hear anything from them for, you send out 3 emails, you don't hear anything, you follow up with those phone calls, and then you finally connect with that individual, and they say, hey, yeah, I've been getting those messages that you've been sending me. But typically what we see is around that 4 to 5 email mark is when they actually start opening up some of those messages. You've called and you've left them a voicemail or something along those lines. You'll start seeing that, hey, they're remembering you, and they, then you can actually probably go back and track if they opened up any of your first emails after, the 4th or 5th contact. So it's very effective, but generally you don't see it until, later on down that email sequence line. Maybe it's even when you decide to break up with them that, hey, we feel that the information they've been sending me is valuable. I don't want them to stop. So at that point, you can also get a lot of response, and hey, I am checking out the information that you're sending me, and please continue to do so, or reach out at that point.
No, that's interesting points that you bring up, because I would gather that email outreach attempts by most don't make it to the 4 to 5.
No.
4th or 5th attempt.
Mm-mm.
We read somewhere, I can't even remember this. You shared an article with me that was just fascinating, that showed some types of sales cycles. And again, this depends on the product you're selling and the consumer you're selling to, but it could take up to 10, 15 attempts.
Oh, yeah. Easily.
Before you actually connect with the customer.
Well, especially if it's cold.
Exactly. There's a lot of passive rapport building you're trying to do there.
Right.
And yeah, you're trying desperately to get in front of, we want to get them on a call to try to close them down. But
Yep.
if it's cold, like you said, there has to be some trust established and built up. And so, to go back to the beginning of this, knowing your target, spending time crafting your message, your subject line that's geared towards what matters most to that target, and then building some frequency
Yeah.
with a message that's been tested to be effective is the winning formula there.
Absolutely. Good. All good points on doing some email outreach. The next question that comes up is kind of funny. My daughter, she's been, this is related to this. So my daughter has been playing with my wife's cell phone quite a bit lately, and she'll come over and show me this crazy puppy face on the phone. And I don't know if your kids are doing this yet, but Snapchat, it's a big one. And we get quite a few businesses that are asking us if they should be taking Snapchat seriously for their business.
Yeah, well, no, to answer your question, my kids have not. The two younger ones haven't. Claire, the oldest, she's been playing with Snapchat a little bit, and I don't dare show the little ones. I call them my minions. I don't dare show the minions because that would be the end of. If Jack could put a puppy face on Elle, then it is all over. But you're taking this, perceived this platform that's perceived for play and goofing around, and the question is, can it be used seriously for your business? And the answer is yes. If your audience is Snapchat users,
if that's your
then there's a great opportunity. I think one of the best parts about is everyone knows about Facebook. Everyone's starting to flock towards Facebook. Everyone's comfortable with using Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
But if you look at Snapchat, what is there, like over 100 million daily users on Snapchat?
It's more than that. I think it's like 150. It's ridiculous.
And so think about that. 150 million daily active users. They can't all be making puppy faces.
I hope not.
So, but I've been on there. I went in.
Come on, have you made a puppy face?
No, I haven't. No, I have not. and I actually can say that with a straight face that I have not done the puppy face yet.
I think you should do one and post it in the show notes.
That would be kind of funny. I think it would be hilarious. But what I have done is I've went in some of the influencers that I follow. Gary Vaynerchuk.
He's a big Snapchatter.
He's a big Snapchatter, and I love that it's another platform. He's reaching another audience.
Mm-hmm.
And what is it? It's video. And so if you think about anyone out there that's producing video and they want to communicate with an audience.
Yeah.
So if you think about, let's figure out what the target Snapchat user is like, and if that fits your buyer persona. I guess that we have a lot of millennials on there that are using. I know my niece and nephew are Snapchat junkies,
right?
But just the numbers alone and the people that you can connect to, if it aligns with your target market, go for it. And the biggest opportunity is the lack of marketers that are using this platform.
Yeah,
because most aren't. Most are dismissing that
it's virtually untapped
a platform
right now.
like Snapchat. Exactly. So if you think about that, it's a pond with few fish swimming around in it, and you have an opportunity here to either go, let's say, to Google and compete with all the fish, some of the biggest fish out there. Go to Facebook where the pond is getting larger and the fish are getting bigger, or you can adopt and dominate a platform that is, it's growing every day. More and more people are going to flock to it. The competition's only going to get thicker. But I think that if it's in alignment with your goals and your strategy, capitalize on it.
Yeah,
I don't see a reason not to.
Good stuff. So go make yourself a puppy face and get that ready to be posted for all of our lovely listeners. All right, next up, responsive web design buzzword from, I don't know, when did that pop up? About
A couple years ago.
A couple years ago, but then Google came out with some information that said if your website was not responsive, that you were going to get penalized and all this crazy stuff was going to happen to you. Does it matter if my website is mobile ready or not?
Yes, this is actually an interesting question. It was a bigger topic a couple of years ago, and then not too long ago. I'd have to pull the date, and we'll add that to the show notes as well. Pull the date of the notice where Google said that they were going to start prioritizing websites that were mobile responsive.
How many
And
phone
everyone
calls did
thought,
you get? I mean, it was crazy.
there was quite a bit, because I think there was this mass email went out to every Google user on the planet that was,
what's going to happen to my website? Is it gone tomorrow?
Right. That was a common question. Is and the nice thing was, we had already been building websites to be mobile ready for a long time at that point. So the majority of our clients that had their site redone were already geared up for this change. And to save anyone from freaking out right now, if your website's not mobile responsive right now, at this very moment, I'll explain what that means. It doesn't mean it disappeared from Google. It just means that Google's giving preference to those that have mobile responsive websites over those that aren't. It's a search signal now. And the reason why, we are a society that now uses mobile devices more than desktops. And so we have that darn cell phone that we're using to shoot photos and videos of our testimonials, but we're also using it for searching for everything from A to Z. And so when we start to see in the Google Analytics or in your website metrics the trend of or the number of site visitors more coming from mobile than desktop, that's just proof in the pudding that it's already happened, and it happened a lot quicker than I anticipated.
Yeah.
That taken down. So let's back up. Let's talk about what it means for a website to be responsive. So when cell phones first started coming out, we went from our dumb phones to our smartphones. That whole transition, we identified that the websites looked like garbage on that small screen because they got all smushed down. So back then, we created a mobile version of a website, and that was a separate web entity, a different web property that would recognize if the search was coming from a mobile device. It would display a different appearing website, which worked great until all the cell phone manufacturers started making all these different sized cell phones, and then tablets hit the market, and now we have another screen size. And so
it's like building for 25 devices all at the same time.
It was fun. And also, I think what was more of a headache back then was, if you made an update to the full version or the desktop version of the website, you then had to go and make that same addition or update to the mobile version of the website.
Correct.
So we began, the idea of a responsive design came to light. And what responsive website design does is, rather than being a fixed website with fixed proportions and things like this, it actually expands to the width of the screen upon which the website's being viewed. And what that means basically is the letters, your fonts don't shrink down to be teeny tiny. Your navigation will rearrange. So if you're looking at a mobile device, likely the navigation will collapse into the very common 3-line toggle menu button that you see at the top of a lot of mobile versions of websites. And as an easy way to see if a website's responsive, if you want to check real quick and see if your website's responsive, one of the easiest ways is open up your website in a browser window on your desktop and grab the corner of your browser window and just slide it left to right and see if the elements of your web page rearrange, or if you get a horizontal sliding menu. Or, excuse me, a horizontal scroll bar. that's one of the easiest ways. A lot of websites are mobile responsive these days. It's been something that's been around for a while.
Long enough, right?
But the thing that we see still quite a bit is there's still a lot that aren't. And so we've touched on, Google gives preference to those that are mobile ready or mobile responsive. We've also touched on, another reason being that it's easier to update if you have a mobile responsive website than if you maybe you have one of those mobile versions of a website. You definitely want to make that change. But I think the biggest item that should be considered is the users, the visitors to your website, and the experience they have. If they're pulling up on the phone and you're serving up a shrunken version of your website that they have to, you can't really visualize this through the podcast, but you got to do the pinchy finger thing, right? You got to expand the page, find the button you want on the navigation. You click on that button, and then the new page reloads, and then you got to make the text area bigger because it's too small for anyone except for someone with a microscope to read. So these are all reasons why you really should make the switch, and if your website is not mobile responsive. Even if you don't care about where you show up in Google, do it for your users. Do it for the consumers, man.
Do it for the consumers. I mean, 50% of our visitors are mobile, so
in most websites it's more than that. It's amazing when you pull analytic reports up and just jump in your analytics reports and just look. I would be willing to bet that 80% of the websites that we manage have more mobile views, more mobile visitors,
probably,
than they do desktop visitors. Without a doubt. I've never really went through and tallied it all up, but I know that with the exception of a few that I can think of right now, all of them that I can, all except for a few are for sure getting more mobile visitors. So do it, people.
Good stuff. Do it for the consumers, people. Do it for the consumers. All right. So next up is focused on content, which we've talked quite a bit about in a few of our recent podcasts. Everybody's always talking about content is king, and you need to make sure you're creating new content, and all that good stuff. Why is content marketing so important?
Well, content marketing does a lot of things for you as in your marketing efforts. For starts, and I think my favorite is it positions you as the expert or as an expert in your industry. When you're creating conversations, so for content marketing, we're talking anything from blog posts to infographics to explainer videos, or any video for that.
Educational
for that argument,
right?
Educational things. A podcast. I mean, this podcast we're doing right now is a component of content marketing. These are all different channels of which we are sending out, distributing our thoughts, our expertise, our weigh-ins on anything related to our particular industry in different modes that can be consumed in different ways. So with the creation of these, it positions you as an industry expert. You're actually having a conversation or writing an article about something that related to your industry that you hope will help consumers that are interested in the topic that you're talking about. And so that alone, I think, is the most important component of content marketing. Now, with that, what are some of the other benefits that make it even more important? I just explained a bunch of different avenues that people can find you now. So if you're creating video, you place that video on YouTube or Snapchat. Or if you're creating a podcast, you have it on iTunes and Google Play.
Sure.
Your blog post is on your blog, but you're trying to promote that to maybe other influencers. And all those are avenues to attract visitors to your website and to promote your brand and build that credibility. So I think that they're all just different ways, and all of our consumers, all of our target buyer personas, we don't have the time or the energy or even the desire to participate in all of these different content marketing mediums.
Okay.
Which should we spend our time on? And the answer would really just boil down to which medium, which mode of content consumption does your buyer persona care about most? How do they like to take in their content and go with that route? If they're a group that likes to read, then blog your heart away.
Yeah.
If they're not readers and they like to watch video, then get the camera going and start recording some video. But the other bystander to doing all this, it doesn't happen without effort, but the more content you produce, the more you'll be found. But also, if your content is, let's just assume that it's good content. If it's great content, it's likely going to be referenced or linked to by others that are in your industry. So let's just say that you created a how-to guide on creating your own golf cart mats.
We're back to golf.
There we go. We're back to golf cart mats.
Now we're gonna be able to.
And it was a step by step. I'm gonna find a picture of a golf cart mat before it's all over.
You're gonna be building a golf cart or something. You just haven't told us about it.
No, although I'd love to. I'm not. And so, let's say you created this how-to guide, and it is just kick-ass. It covers all the steps, start to finish.
Love it.
It includes a video and a step-by-step text explanation, because you want to cover both angles of your listening audience or your target audience. And you have a company that does build golf carts who's like, this is awesome. And they write a blog post and they're like, you know what? And if you were interested in building golf cart mats, go check out the link to Justin and Ken's golf cart mat company. And they got it. These guys nailed it. And you get a link to your website, which builds your credibility in the search engines and boosts. Exactly. So that would be another bystander for making, for content or an indirect benefit for content marketing participation. So again, to recap, I love the credibility aspect.
Yeah.
You position yourself as a thought leader, but it's going to get you more traffic to your website, and it's going to help you get some of those inbound links that are so precious when it comes to organic search.
Sweet. Everybody go out there and get yourself some golf cart mats, or at least learn how here with Justin and Ken. All right, so good stuff. We all have a good understanding of why content marketing is so important for our businesses. Does the frequency of putting up content matter? Should I, just how often should I blog? And what should I be blogging about?
That's a very good question. Because when we're having this conversation about content marketing, a lot of times there isn't a strategy in place and there's no activity being done. And the idea behind the blog's the easiest one, really. Most websites have a blog component of some sort. You open up, you start jamming away on the keyboard, piecing together something that connects well with and has thorough and explaining a particular item about your business. And so let's just talk about the blogs. Everyone's first question is, okay, I'll blog. How many times, a year do I need to blog? Or how many times a week do I need to blog? Do I need to blog every day? Do I need to blog several times a day? And the answer is consistently and frequently, but it really is based on how much time you have available to devote really to that activity. Yeah. And so I always say it's kind of like we're here into the beginning of the new year, and lots of people started new health regimens, and sometimes you go into I'm going to get a new gym membership, and I'm going to go every day, and they go for their first
4 days,
and then they're like, well, not every day, every other day. because, they go in too hard, too hot, too heavy. It's too much of a shock in their schedule.
Yeah.
Or they're sore or whatever it might be.
Ease in.
And then they go every other day. I'm just kidding. I'm done. And so what happens is you need to be realistic in your goals, how much time you have to devote to an activity like blogging. It does take time.
Yeah.
There's the step in figuring out what your topic's going to be, and then researching that particular topic, actually writing the blog post itself. And then the last component, which is super important, is outreach, to try to promote your content and to get in front of as many eyeballs as possible.
Mm-hmm.
So if you can do that every day, then you're going to be further ahead than the person that can only do it once a month. But be realistic in the goals that you set for yourself. And you have to put that time on the calendar. If you don't write it down and you don't make the time to say Wednesday mornings from 9 until noon, every week, I'm doing blogging activity.
Yeah.
Or maybe your calendar is jam-packed between 7 a.m. and 5 p.m. And you're like Justin and you got kids to run to sports and dinner to throw at them and clean up and bedtime and stories and baths and all that fun stuff.
It has to be scheduled.
And it doesn't. It has to be, or maybe it's at 10 o'clock at
right,
night, where you're like, okay, everybody's to bed. I'm kind of mellowed out here. I find early in the mornings when I'm most creative, I got a good night's sleep. My brain's kind of charged a little bit more and it's not drained at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And so early in the morning is when I find myself to be most creative. But as you just, reiterated there, putting on a calendar is super important. So, but to step back though, the other part of your question, so the frequency depends on your schedule, but commit to something and stick to it. It's a long play. It's not something you're going to see immediate benefits to.
Yeah.
You're going to have to say, all right, I'm going to blog and I'm going to continue to blog. And I would say if you have the choice between frequency, quantity, or quality, go with quality all day long.
Yeah.
If you say, all right, I have 4 hours to devote, in 4 hours time, I could crank out one really good blog post, or I could crank out 4, glorified tweets, then go for the one really good. I mean, a really good blog post minus the outreach could conceivably be done in 4 hours. But definitely go for the quality. The more thorough you cover a topic, the more value that you can present and bring to the person reading that blog post, the more value it's going to bring to, the more return you're going to see on it for your business. So awesome. Now with topics are the one thing that, all right, what do I write about? Do I want, do I write about awards that I won? Do I write about new jobs that maybe my company was presented? Yeah, sure. Company news is awesome. Industry news, things that are going on within your industry. Maybe you have a trade publication or a magazine that you subscribe to, and they're talking about a particular article that you read, and you're like, I've read this, I've digested it, and I have some things that I'd like to say about it. Perfect. That's a great blog topic. It's relevant. I like evergreen content that's going to be meaningful today and a couple years down the road, so we can continue to get traffic from it. It's going to be a question, and that's my biggest topic generator is common questions. The common questions that we're covering right here in this podcast right now are all great blog topics, and they're going to be questions that are relevant today, and they're going to be questions that are, for the most part, going to be relevant 6 months from now or 2 years from now. Maybe there's going to be some twist that the Facebook ad thing will be different. The responsive web design won't be quite as hot a topic, but there'll be something there to replace that. Though. Very true. Very true. So topic ideas, common questions, industry news, company news, tutorials, how to make your own golf cart mats. Exactly. Or educational pieces. We talked about really, it kind of ties in with the how-to guides, but maybe it's to learn really the ins and outs of features, benefits of something that's brand new that you don't know anything about. So those are some, and if you can't come up with I mean, try not to come up with 50 to 100 topic ideas just off of common questions you're asked, and don't go so broad as, you know, what's the most, common type of widget out there. Get into the nitty gritty, down to the very specific questions, because if you've heard that question asked to you individually, there's likely thousands of people out there in the world that are asking that very question. And we all use Google as a kind of more of an, I mean, Ask Jeeves was onto something before Google really figured it out, but we all ask Google now questions more than I think anything. I mean, I type in questions into Google all the time.
Yeah, they even got that cool new speaker out that you can set right on your desk and ask it questions and it responds.
Oh yeah, you're talking about the speaker where the dad's reading his daughter the book and he's asking what the sound of the whale makes. Oh man, that's the invention.
It's awesome.
That's going to.
I tell you what, that thing little thing sits on your desk.
Man, we're going to be so lazy.
You can ask it any question and get the answer right there. How easy?
My first thought when I saw that commercial was, Google, can you babysit my kid for me? Google, can you make me a pizza? Because
hey, man.
How lazy are we that we? No, it's the convenience of technology and how it's advancing. But you got to chuckle.
That's funny.
It makes you think back to that movie WALL-E, where all the humans are just laying on those floating couches, whatever they are, and we're just getting fat and just we can't even get up. We don't even function anymore because everything's so automated. I mean, it's scary, but it's so true.
That's the times we're in. So.
Exactly.
All right, so we do all this cool new content marketing and blogging and all that good stuff. I want to start promoting some of that content somehow. However, maybe I have a smaller budget. So next up would be, what is the best route to go for paid search on a limited budget for, either Google AdWords or any type of social platform, PPC platform?
Yeah, a lot of times that we're looking at the strategy we want to implement. The budget is a common, is a main dictator of what we can and can't do. And so this is oftentimes, do we have to choose if or, either or, either Google, let's say AdWords, or let's just for the sake of what we've been talking about this entire time, doing targeted boosting ads on Facebook. Which route do we go? Well, I think that whatever, this could be a cop, but whatever aligns with your goals the best. And really, I mean, you got to think about the differences between the two platforms. There is a difference between the users there. With Google, we go to Google with questions. We're going to seek information.
Right.
So we want to know what sound the whale makes, right? So we ask Google. Or we want to know a recipe for, I need a crock pot recipe for pork loin because I got a swim meet tomorrow night and I need to get something that's going to be ready for me when I get home. I can chow down and head to the swim meet. Or we want to know the best strategy for coming up with a campaign for our church event, fundraising event, whatever that might be. We oftentimes gravitate towards Google for that. Rarely do we go to Facebook for that. We don't go to Facebook and to ask what sound a whale makes, because that would be really weird. We don't do good Facebook for anything. We go to Facebook for social enjoyment. We go to Facebook to kind of see what's going on, for entertainment, for killing time in the car, or waiting for an appointment, or at the doctor's office, whatever it might be. We're on Facebook, but we're being served up ads there in more of a creative way, similar to that billboard that's on the side of the road, with the exception that we can position now our billboard only in front of relevant items. Yeah. And so the two main differences I see between Google AdWords and Facebook ads is the consumer, the intent of the person being on that platform. Are they there seeking information, or they're, is it active, seeking information, or is it passive ads that we're positioning in front of them? Both work, both are great. And the other is the cost. You're not always going to, but you're likely going to pay more on Google AdWords for a click than you would on Facebook.
Yeah.
And so, to go back to what you made mention of once before, like, does it make sense to test? I love testing here because we don't have to commit to either one with a giant budget. Let's say we have a budget of $500. Let's dip our toe in each bucket a little bit and see which one, because where you might get, let's say that you pay $500. Let's say you split it up 250, and you run a 1-week campaign on each platform. Let's say that you only get 15 leads, 15 clicks that turn into leads off Google. You might, so you didn't pay for the leads, you're paying for the clicks there. You might get 100 clicks on Facebook, spend that same $250, but only get 5 leads.
Yeah, true.
At the end of the day, where did your $250 go and get you further? And so that is some testing that you got to play with and do. And obviously, I think both platforms are really viable, but running those test campaigns and see what works best, and then do yourself a favor. Whatever platform, do your test, definitely run it with this. Create a landing page. In the landing page, use verbiage and photos with a call to action, whatever the conversion you want them to do. If you want them to fill out a form to get a free consultation, if you want them to download your ebook, if you want them to like your page, I guess that would be definitely towards Facebook. But whatever it is that you want them to do, drive it to a landing page and not to the homepage of your website. We see this too many times, and you're diluting it's kind of like,
one, you're going to pay more, and two, you're going to send them to a page that's relevant as opposed to not.
Exactly. I mean, you're basically saying, I want you to guide people. I want to pay for you to be my guide. But once, you deliver them, are you going to say, here's the exact room in my house you were looking for, or here's the front door. Good luck finding the room. Send them to the damn room they're looking for.
Good stuff. All right. So, all very, very, very good stuff on the, 10 common marketing questions that we get. We are running a little bit longer than an hour today, so I think that we're going to wrap it up for today. We want to thank you guys again for listening to our Q&A conversation. Be sure to check out the show notes at neongoldfish.com/podcast. Again, we want to thank everybody for all the support that you guys have provided for the podcast. And please, please, please leave us some reviews on whatever that platform is that you are listening on, whether it be iTunes, Google Play, or whatever the platform is, and if you have an idea for any topic or a guest that you think would be a great fit to have on the show, or just general feedback on the show to make it a little bit better, please send that message through Twitter at neongoldfish, or send us a message through neongoldfish.com's website. Again, have a great day, and we will see you guys next week.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the Neon Noise Podcast. Did you enjoy the podcast? If so, please subscribe, share with a friend, or write a review. We want to cover the topics you want to hear. If you have an idea for a topic you'd like Justin and Ken to cover, connect with us on Twitter at neongoldfish or through our website at neongoldfish.com.